Hi, my name is Andrea. I've been asked to talk to you about a volunteer experience that I had when I was working up in Milton Keynes. My background is I was a specialist nurse. My role was a lot to do with education and training for my clients so that they could actually adapt and manage their conditions that they had, mainly diabetes but also cardiothoracics. This volunteer experience that I had combined my passion with giving back to people but also working with horses. It was a charity that's set up, a small charity which is set up just outside Milton Keynes, run by a wonderful lady who believed that children who were disadvantaged or unable to move on in the world could actually do something better with their lives. And she believed that animals were the prime thing that would actually make that transition work really well. She had a stable yard, which she had about 20 ponies and horses. She had some livery people there as well. So it was an environment that was actually quite safe, contained, but also actually was a working environment. So the children that actually came were anything between 12 up to 16 years old, referred via social services and some of the schools. They were children who were close to being expelled from school, moving frequently within the social services backgrounds through homes, care settings, and were children who everyone had just given up on, didn't think that were actually going to achieve, and didn't think that they would be able to do anything with their lives. The set-up on the stables was that they actually, when they came to the stables, they came actually to do hands-on work. So they worked with the horses, they mucked out, they cleaned at the yard, they tacked the horses, they groomed the horses, they actually could go out on the horses when they actually had the experience as well. So they were taught to ride as well as actually taught to look after a horse and in the environment of a stables. She had a very keen sense that they should understand the needs of the horse and why they were doing what they were doing. So they didn't just do tasks, they were explained and taught why they were doing them. Health and safety, hygiene, animal welfare, feeding, caring, the whole unit that she had was to do with showing that these animals need looking after, and that these children were able to do that task. A lot of the children were quite angry when they arrived. They didn't really know why they were there, didn't understand why they were coming to a place like this, and some of them just didn't want to get involved at all. But once they were actually out on the yard and doing a task, but also being in touch with the animals, the effect a horse made on some of those children was amazing. You would have the toughest child who actually is aggressive, angry, unable to cope in a social situation. But when they got with the horses, they became a different person. Their eyes lit up. They cared, they worked with that horse, they groomed that horse followed them around the yard, and when they went out to the field to collect the horses, those horses would come towards them because they developed a trust and a love for the actual individuals as well. So she started off with just working with children in that sort of way, so teaching them roles, how to work in environments, and all different sorts of environments. She taught them how to work with different people as well, because we worked in small groups. So there was volunteers like myself who actually were there to support the teachers that were around that had the educational background, hence why they were able to come to the yard, because they had to be in a situation which was educationally safe, because they were still within the school curriculum. So I was there as a volunteer just to be a support to the teachers, but also a support to that child, and with my background in healthcare, but also my background in loving horses was just phenomenal. It was just a really worthwhile situation. The other thing that she developed was looking at their education. So rather than just coming and doing tasks, she looked at them starting to do NVQs, which is the National Vocational Qualifications that were around at the time. So she looked at the National Vocational Qualifications for animal management, but equine. So equine management, equine stables management, and equine studies. So she looked at a different variety of NVQs at different levels that would suit each individual needs for these individual children. Some of them didn't want to do anything like that, but some of them actually developed skills where they actually passed their NVQs and went to work in stable yards. They actually went to workplaces where they could actually use those skills, and it was amazing to see the achievements. But even just seeing a child being able to get their maths and English at basic functional skills level, which they were unable to do when they were in a school setting, but they would do it there because it was actually fitted around an environment that they felt safe, they felt secure, but they also felt that they were doing other things that are meaningful. So it was all related back to working with the animals, working with the horses. So the maths was related towards how much feed some animal would need depending on their weight, their height, what activities they did. So they were taught skills that were practical, but skills that they understood and that actually they could put into practice when they went back out in the yard. So she developed this relationship with them where they trusted her, but they trusted the team. And I was really fortunate enough, because of my teaching background as well, that I was able to help with some of those skills as well. And I had such a fulfillment with seeing some of these children achieve their basic task of English, maths, but their basic task of just doing the NVQs and achieving a goal that they thought they would never be able to achieve. The stables often were quite hectic, and you would get children who would have a bad session where they would become aggressive or angry at the world, at different people, and it was an environment where hopefully they did feel quite safe. So most of the children were able to vent if they felt like that, but go off and actually be in a quiet area to actually release what is going on inside them, which was quite useful. And yet again, why the volunteers were there, so the volunteers could continue with the rest of the group while the actual trained personnel were able to go and deal with that person and actually help them through the process to get them back out and doing the activities. One of the other things I used to do was actually getting the minibus to take a lot of them home or back to their care settings, or even sometimes back to the schools. Mostly it was back to their home settings by the time we finished. And that was a very interesting experience, in that you would have the child get in the van happy, talking about what they'd done, the horses that they'd worked with, and the people that they'd been with. And then as you entered the Milton Keynes kind of area and they were getting closer to where they live, you could actually physically see them change. They became quiet. They would often get quite agitated, and the swearing and the aggression would appear to come out again. And particularly if you drove in and there were friends of theirs waiting outside for them, when they got off the bus, you just saw them change back into an angry child that felt that was the place that they had to be and how they had to act when they were in that kind of area. And your heart, well, my heart used to sink, used to feel so sad that that's what they were like when we left them. But the joy was that when they were with us, hopefully, well, we felt by their appearance and by their attitude that they felt valued, they felt nurtured, they felt cared for, they felt that they belonged somewhere, and that was just the bonus to everything that we did. Absolutely bonus. And the ones that actually came through and got their MVQs, even their maths and their English at functional skills level, that is an achievement that they would never have got if they'd stayed in the settings that they were. So her charity, her organisation, the values that she had will stay with me for a very, very long time, and I believe will stay with a lot of those children and do those children so much good. Not all of them, unfortunately, but the ones that she did help, she helped really well.